I interviewed Professor Mercedes García-Arenal in her office in Madrid. We discussed Alfonso X and his legacy. Here are selections from that interview.
He's a very important figure. He's a very important king, Alfonso X. He is not well enough known outside of Spain, and even in Spain. His achievements are tremendous in the intellectual and cultural field, and also in the linguistic field. Alfonso X was the first king who had his whole court and administration work and write in Castilian, in a Romance language. No king in Europe was going to do that still for centuries. He comes after a tremendous king, Ferdinand III, who was his father, and who conquered half of the peninsula from the Islamic power in the south, conquered Seville. He was a person of great dimension. He has a beautiful tomb in the cathedral in Seville with the inscription in Arabic, Latin, and Hebrew. So after his father, he is a little bit overshadowed also because he became involved in wanting to be emperor of Europe, of the Sacrum Imperium Germanicum, because his mother was Beatrix of Suabia, and he thought he had a claim. And that didn't finish well, and he spent a lot of time and energy for the European imperio, and also because his kingdom finished in a civil war between his sons. So this has cast a shadow. He was the president of empire in many things, in his attention to Seville, and in promoting Spanish, Castilian, as a language of administration, but also as a language of culture and of science. I wonder, he was a person, and I think this is his biggest asset, who had a real intellectual drive and a real intellectual curiosity. He was somebody very cultivated. He did many things. For example, he brought to his court troubadours from Galicia, from Portugal, from France. He was himself involved in writing poetry. He wrote or collected these beautiful cantigas de Santa Maria in Galician or Portuguese dialect, and which are a tremendous achievement. His personality is translated into the illustrations and into the book as a final product in which he took care of everything, not only what was written, but how it was written, how it was illustrated. He was very interested in Arabic culture in many levels. For example, he made the translation of this collection of stories named wa-dimna, short stories whose protagonists are animals and who come from the Orient, from India and from Persia, all the way through the Islamic Empire, was translated in Toledo. He was interested in astrology and astronomy and had several books translated from Arabic. He had his lapidario on the property of stones and gems. He was also interested in games, has a book on checkers, this very oriental game. So his range of interest and curiosity was wide and genuine. He was the one who converted the studium in Salamanca into a university, the first university in Spain. He put together people who knew Latin and Castilian and Hebrew and Arabic to work together, generally 3 at a time on a text. He was somebody who pretended to be king of every inhabitant of Iberia, independent of his language or his religion. And he brought to his court several very well-known figures, like the Jew Todros Abulafia, a Muslim called El Ricotí, who afterwards put together an studium in Murcia, the importance of Arabic in the Mediterranean during the Middle Ages, and goes through political divisions and frontiers. And it's very important not only for Muslims, but also for Jews and for Christians living in Muslim lands. No, it really becomes an instrument of empire. Alfonso didn't limit himself to philosophy, no? Not even to what was producing a lot of interest in Europe in the 12th century, which was the works of the Greeks, which have been lost in Europe but had reached Europe again through Arabic translation. But he moved out also from this high culture because he liked poetry and he liked storytelling and he liked magic or alchemia, the property of the elements, the stars, which is astronomy but is also prophetizing. I think he had a project, that he was doing what he liked, but that he had a project, and an ambitious project. For example, outside the translation thing, he did all this legislation. He codified the Siete Partidas. So he was intellectually ambitious, probably because he also was politically ambitious. He also wrote this General Historia, a history of Spain, which is also a political program. It's the basis for empire, is the basis for defining a, let's say, proto-national identity. So you have jurisprudence, language, history. Those are very important tools, very important tools. This effort of using Castilian as a court language and an administrative language, I have not a very clear idea why he did it. Maybe because he was putting together many different people in his court and the vernacular was the common language of all of them. The result is Castilian was established as a language of importance and of relevance. And I think that Alfonso had a bigger influence in times after him that we fully realize.